Five, four, three, two, one, and we're off. What's going on, people? Where you at? Where you at? Where you at? That's what people from New Orleans always say. Where you at? Where you at? Where you at, shit? How's it going? Uh-oh. I see the masked marauder in here with a mask on. Gotta take off that mask so I can see who you be. If it ain't my favorite little freckle face. Oh, little bit for happening, Booski. Oh. See, I like you too because y'all always come up in here early, get me hype, have me acting a fool and carrying on. But it's cool. Anyway, I'm just gonna sit here for a minute and I'm gonna look at myself on the screen and I'm gonna think about what y'all would be saying right about. No, let me stop messing with y'all. What's happening, people? Is it Friday? Oh, it's Friday Eve. It must be a thirsty Thursday because your man is here and I'm ready to do my thing. So without any further ado, let me see if I can get some music playing. Oh. Just like that, baby, just like that. Keep it right there. Oh, on the river listening. Okay, bring me a drink. Let me see what I'm on. A margarita. Yeah, you know. What's up, Liza? With a Z. What's happening, people? Do it good. Be like me, do it good. Anything I do, I gotta do. Do, Lord. Do it good. Alright. It's not what you look like when you're doing what you're doing. It's what you're doing when you're doing it. What you look like you're doing. I hope you're doing what you look like you're doing, because if you're doing something and you don't look like that's what you was doing. No! Down in the jungle. Everybody on the floor now, shake your booty like big booty kangaroo. For your mama and your aunt too. Skaggy-digga-bee-bop. Skaggy-digga-do. Skaggy-digga-dee-da. Skadoo-digga-digga-dee-bop. This dude was from LA, but this sounds like this should be New Orleans music. God. I told the story. I was at Phyllis Wheatley in 6th grade the first time I heard this song. Alan Toussaint had a recording studio in Dumaine, across the street from Phyllis Wheatley, the school. And we're doing something, and I heard this song, and I sit back and I said, and I just started playing clarinet, and I was like, that is funky. And the first thing I heard was the drummer. Then I heard the bass. Then I heard them horns. I was like, I want to be able to play that. I want to be able to play that. I had a music teacher, Mr. Lear. Mr. Lear said, son, stick with Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star. I was like, but, made me mad. Ow! One day I'm gonna play this song and figure out how many times he called, "Oh Lord, oh Lord." Oh, people, what's happening? Let me go ahead and cut that. What's happening? What's happening? What's happening, everybody? Y'all know that for whatever reason, this song gets me hyped. And now this Etsy commercial or whatever, stolen the song. So every time I could be in the room, and doing commercials, you go and you get something to munch on. So I could be in the kitchen or bathroom or whatever, and I hit and I jump. I'm like, damn, oh shit, ain't me, ain't calling me. But anyway, I want to thank everybody. I want to welcome everybody, first of all, to the show tonight. I want to thank everybody for tuning in. We're getting there, people. We're getting there. I got a confession to make, though. All jokes aside, I really have a confession to make. I am tired. I'm tired of being sick and tired. I'm tired of hearing about the number of people who died from COVID-19. I'm tired of Trump and the repugnant Republicans. I'm tired of the deadbeat Democrats and Nancy. I'm tired of them deadbeat Dems. I am so tired of them Dems and this lame duck called Nancy. I said it twice on purpose. I'm tired of Biden and who's going to be his running mate. Let's go ahead and pick somebody. I'm tired of the mail-in votes. I'm tired of hearing about it. I'm tired of Russia. I'm tired of China. I'm tired of hearing about outside interference. But then yesterday it dawned on me. Yesterday I realized we were only 90 days from the election. So today is 89 days. So 90 days from tomorrow, we're going to be talking about November the 3rd and whatever happens in past tense. Let that soak in for a minute. 90 days from today will be November the 4th. And we will be talking about what happened the day before. And I just got a feeling. But anyway, so tonight let's talk about the madness that's 2020. Tonight we're going to talk about what happens in 90 days and a sad what if of 4 more years. 2020 is one for the record book. And I say that because we talk about 2020 like, this has been a crazy, crazy year. And anybody that's over 20 years of age can't remember anything like this. Neither can I, and I'm 60. So, and some of y'all out there are older than me. But truthfully speaking, every time I think of 2020 and Black Lives Matter, I'm reminded that all of this has happened before. The only real wrinkle that has been thrown in has been the pandemic. Trump has taken us to a new low. Just when we thought nothing crazy could happen, something crazier happened, and it continues to happen for 4 years. So right now, we're at this turning point. And the turning point has been enough is enough. That enough is enough is George Floyd. And when I think about that, I'm reminded that there's been a lot of George Floyds, all the way from Emmett Till to Yusuf Hawkins. And this week, I was looking for a story, and a friend of mine posted the story about Yusuf Hawkins. Yusuf Hawkins was I think he was 18 or 19 years old. But him and his friends made the bad mistake in 1989 of going to Bed-Stuy in Brooklyn. And they were chased by these Italian guys. And there's a couple stories going around about, this, that, or the other, about they didn't want to see him date the girl, or the girl had rejected one of them, or so forth and so on. But long story short, this is a true mob of people that chased these boys down, and Yusuf was shot twice in the chest, and he died as a result of it. One of the boys is still in jail. I think he's doing life of 40 or whatever. One of the other guys got out, and he talked about the remorse. And I know what you're thinking. Why am I talking about Yusuf if he wasn't killed by a cop? Yusuf was killed by neighborhood Italian thugs, but they weren't called that back then, who were filled with hate. So much so that they decided in these crazy numbers to chase and hunt down these boys. I think it was 3 or 4 boys. And I started reading the story again, and I'll be honest with you, I stopped because first I got sad. Then I got mad. I've gotten to the point where I'm all cried out. I have no more tears. So I'm so filled with anger. I'm so filled with anticipation. I'm so filled with, I just want this to be over, okay? But the hate that killed Yusuf in 1989 still exists today. I understand these guys not wanting to see their neighborhood change. I feel somewhat of the same sadness when I go back to New Orleans, and nobody lives where they used to. Very few of my friends actually stay in the city of New Orleans. People have abandoned the city for Slidell and across the river and across the canal and this, that, and the other. And I understand that a lot of them were from across the canal don't even live over there anymore. So I understand, but I'm focusing on the hate because this is what killed Yusuf. The bad thing about it is when you learn hate, because hate is a learned action. Kids play with kids, and they ask the damnedest question. Why does your hair look like that? Why are you darker than me? You know, why do you have a sippy cup and I have, milk? Kids ask questions because they're naturally curious. But then they move beyond that curiosity and they go back to shooting marbles or swinging on the monkey bars or doing whatever kids do. They have to be taught to hate. And what's bad about the hate that killed Yusuf is some of those people, if 3 or 4 people were charged out of a mob of 200, how many, and this is how my mind works, how many of those people, how many of those guys saw their neighborhood become run down, then gentrified, and is carrying that kind of animosity? How many of those same guys now have a gun and a badge and calling themselves NYPD? How many of those same guys are in Chicago and New Orleans and LA and Atlanta and so on and so on and so on, with all of this hate that's been permeating and percolating for years and years and years? And now they have a gun and a badge. The gun and the badge gives them carte blanche to get even. A lot of these guys that became cops are afraid of their own shadow. So when they say they fear for their life, I truly believe some of them. They're not just saying what the police rep told them to say. Their punk asses were really afraid. But if you were a punk, or if you were some little chicken shit, excuse my French, parlez-vous français, when you were a kid and you become a cop, and here's your chance to get even. All of these things lead to the George Floyds, the Breonnas, the Ahmauds, and the Eltons, and the names go on and on and on. When I try to think about who was first, my head goes into a tailspin because every time I think of I kind of trace this back. I go back another one and another one and another one. So I'm tired of it. I'm tired of it. And I'm going to tell you what I did about it. No. Let me go ahead and I'm going to deviate from what I was planning to do and tell you this. You guys have heard me talk about what I was going to do. I went ahead and I started a company, and I'm going to tell you about it a little later, but I wanted to go ahead and talk about it. When I look at my old neighborhood, I can no longer afford to live in New Orleans. That's why a lot of my friends have moved. A lot of my family have moved. Some of them are landlords, and they got a chance to buy some property after Katrina. But there's a joke that I told, and everybody tells the same joke. When you see your neighborhood go down, it pisses you off. When you see that bike lane, you say, "Oh shit," and you hear tick tock, tick tock, tick tock, dun dun dun, because you know your neighborhood is about to be gentrified. And suddenly there's a police presence that didn't exist before. Now, when that police presence comes in, it has a chip on its shoulder. So everybody that used to live in that neighborhood is no longer welcome. So they're chasing them out by any means necessary. So that's what kind of pisses me off. And that's where we are today. A lot of these people that have become cops, it has a lot to do with who they were before they became cops. I said it before and I'm going to say it one more time. When we were growing up in the 60s and 70s, we saw police brutality. We saw some of the same old stuff. So it's not new. It's the same soup warmed over again. But what we hope for is what we hope when we got black people on the police force, they would be more like Sidney Poitier. They call me Mr. Tibbs. There would be a presence that would represent us on the police force. But instead of changing the police force changed them. And they had to adapt. To adjust in this police force. I understand. I'm not saying that I'm better than anybody because I was young. I was dumb. Some of the things we did, I hope nobody ever finds out about. You know, we snuck on the bus. We did some things, you know. It was silly, some of the stuff we did. Somebody didn't give us Halloween candy. Now I know. When I went into the Marine Corps, they had me doing demolitions. And I learned that a M80 was a quarter stick of dynamite. And when I learned this, I said, oh shit. When somebody didn't give us Halloween candy, in the old days they had that mailbox that sit on the side of the house. And I apologize for everybody, but this is the kind of knucklehead stuff we do as kids. We used to put firecrackers and M80s in their mailboxes. It blew the mailbox off the side of the house and we would run giggling thinking it was funny. But the thing was, and here's the difference about a community, there were older guys in the neighborhood. There were older women in the neighborhood. That's what made it a neighborhood. That's what made it a village. That's what made it a community. And they say, you know better. How would you feel if somebody done such a, let Henry, bring your behind over here. And they would slap you upside the head. Or they would hit you a couple times and you run off. But you couldn't outrun the telephone. So by the time you got home, guess what? You was getting another behind whooping. So I wonder, why did they not learn how not to hate? Why do people not learn from their childhood mistakes and grow up and be productive, well-rounded adults? That's what we are now. So my thing is this. If police forces didn't rush to automatically prove someone's innocence, if when they did something wrong, they were pulled to the side the same way the elders pulled us to the side and taught us right from wrong and held us accountable, if they were taught this early on in their careers, there would be no, what's his name, Derek punk ass got my knee on your neck, George Floyd, who had over 19 write-ups in 18 years. Nobody pulled this man. Nobody in his community taught him better, and no cops taught him better. And the black cops cannot be Mr. Tibbs. Why? Because they're afraid that the next call they go out, they may be set up and killed themselves. Instead of closing ranks, discipline should include true training of what you did wrong, along with consequences leading to termination and, if necessary, prosecution. That's one of the things that my organization is going to be proposing. Let's move on. COVID-19. I'm so tired of talking about COVID-19, but they want to normalize Corona by sending our children back to school. So I got to talk about this. I saw a story the other day. It was titled The Importance of Reopening School. This was not some empirical research paper. This was a fluff piece written by some Trump minion in the CDC, mind you, telling us how kids needed to go back to school because, they needed that social interaction. Well, no, that's counterproductive to social distancing. They needed to be in there because our kids really aren't susceptible and their immune systems could take this. That's bullshit. I'm driving on expired tags because the DMV here in Florida is not open. You have to make an appointment, and they give you an appointment 2 months down the road. So you can't open the DMV and let 10 people in at a time so that people can update their tags, but you want to send 25 to 35 kids back to a classroom where they're going to be passing notes, where they're going to be trying to whisper and they can't be heard, so they take off their masks and they're going to be doing this. And then we have to talk about our babies. But what really got me, and I hate to be screaming and shouting, what really got me with this article, it was from COVID data tracking, a data tracking. When it's not good data, I call it data. That'll be the day that I follow this bull. There was no author on it. But here's the thing I wanted to quote out of it. It says, the article talked about the advantages of social interaction and social development of, quote, our most valued resources, our children, unquote. If our children are our most valued resource, why the hell are we putting them in harm's way? Why are you so hell-bent on sending these kids to school? As I stated last week, I know a lot of parents do not have the resources or even know how to teach certain things to their kids. And I'm not picking on anybody and I'm not putting anybody down, because I said several times, my mother used to look at the books and she said, son, I see you bring home these science books and these history books and words I can't even pronounce. She said, so it hurts my heart. I can't help you with your homework. But those people back there say that you can do this. So it's my expectation that you get it done. And she finished it with, son, I don't know what it is about education, but I know they were willing to kill us to keep us from getting it. So get as much of it as you can. And that resonated with me. And I tell every young man that I talk to, why is it when you're on the street corner, school is for fools and school ain't cool? But as soon as your little punk ass, as soon as your little monkey ass gets locked up, now you got to get your GED, and now you got to get this, and now you got to get that. Why don't you circumvent the criminal justice system for just us and get the education on the front end? Because I don't care if you look like Steve Urkel. Some little girl's going to tell you, oh, I like that little skinny, look like Snoop Dogg. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not picking on Snoop. I like Snoop. But I'm just saying, everybody has something that makes them special. Why do you have to go to jail to find out what it is? When it comes to going back to school, you have to make decisions for your own family. I'm not sitting here to put anybody down. I'm sitting here giving you information to make you think, because that's what this is all about. When I say I got something to say, it must be true. It's true, but it's my truth. Your truth is based on your experiences, your perspective. So you make the decisions, but I'll tell you this. Those people, those families with money will not be sending their kids back. Only you know your situation. Do what you have to do. But if your children are our future, if your children are our most valued resource, treat them that way. Don't sacrifice them. Moving on. I told you I was tired of hearing about mail-in votes. And I told you time and time again, I do not like mail-in votes. I'm prior military. Once upon a time, that's what we did. We mail in, it was called absentee ballot. But the Dems, these deadbeat, lame duck Dems, have shown their hand. And when you tell me what you're going to do, it's like playing football. And I say, I'm about to throw a pass. Instead of the linebackers rushing, they drop back in the coverage, and they just send 3 linemen to rush. So now the backfield is flooded. Instead of having 3 or 4, a defensive, two cornerbacks and 2 safeties, a strong and free safety. Now we got linebackers back there too. So instead of 3 or 4 people, we got about, depending on the defense, we got an additional 3 linebackers or 4 linebackers. So think about it. When you show your hand, the opposition knows what to do. The Dems have been telling you since February about mail-in voting. So what does Trump do? He raises his stink how he don't want no mail-in vote. I don't want to see mail-in votes. I don't want to see mail-in votes. So the dumbass Dems say, yeah, that's it. We got him now. Let's mail in some votes. Let's mail in some votes. I don't want to see mail-in votes. Now what we going to do to stop them damn mail-in votes? So they're ready for that shit. I'm going to ask you some questions. And you ponder the questions for yourself. Have you ever shredded or ignored a bill that came in the mail and pretend like it never came? Once upon a time when I couldn't pay my bills, I said, oh, no, sir, I never got that bill, but I tell you what, I put a check in the mail. You're buying time. Have you ever mailed a letter, a Christmas card, and it wasn't delivered until Easter? Okay, maybe not Easter, maybe Palm Sunday. You get my point. I'm exaggerating, but you get my point. We're talking about the United States Postal Service, and I know some of my boys out there. Shout out to Donnell, Brother Preacher. I know a lot of you guys have worked for the post office, and I'm not putting you down. I understand it's a difficult job, but if you have a postmaster who has changed the rules, or if you have stuff that's not sent to your station, you can't deliver it. So, number 3, I'm going to ask you this other question. Given the last 4 years, do you think the repugnant Republicans will do whatever they can to remain in power? We need not wait. Everybody knows the answer to that. Given the documented interference of 2016, do you really think they're not outside sources, i.e. Russia, China, North Korea, a partridge in a pear tree, and some other people here who would not love to destroy the USA and see it happen from within? Not a nuclear bomb, just a nuclear I hate to call them ignorant because you give true ignoramuses a bad name. Okay. Last question. What do you think will happen if Mission Don bankrupts the U.S. and our financial system collapses? And I mean, I'm hinting this question, I'm posing this question to those people that are living comfortably. Do you think you're going to be able to keep your house? Do you think your money and those assets that are in the bank and otherwise are not going to be frozen? Do you think your IRAs are safe? Do you think your retirement plan is cool? Do people like me who depend on my VA and my Social Security, I know that shit would be gone. You understand what I'm saying? So I understand. This is why I shout. This is why I get so upset. This is why I get so excited. A couple people asked me, man, do you not get tired of talking about this shit? I said, yes, every freaking week. But I think about the consequences. Some people want to bury their head in the sand and they want to say, well, God is in control. God gave us the power of choice with a voice to make that voice heard and make a difference. So if you choose not to act, don't blame it on God. You understand what I'm saying? I want to see us do some things. So those people that I'll be calling on, let me move on. Let's talk about some pros and cons. The biggest pro for mail-in voting is what? It's simple. Ballot comes to your house, no lines, no hot weather, no waiting, no nothing. Social distancing, you fill out your ballot, you sign it, because if you forget to sign it, it becomes invalid and it's tossed to the side, and you mail it in. Simple. Not a cons. Number one, United States Postal Service. Now, I'm not putting them down, but we have a new Postmaster General. A new Postmaster General who's a Trump minion, who's already changed the policies. So, mail pickup in certain neighborhoods is starting to differ. That's number one. Urban areas, number two, a con. Urban areas where they've closed polls in the past are too easy to identify. They know where the opposition lives. This means that they can slow down, this new Postmaster General can slow down pickup so that the postmark on those ballots are not in time to be counted. And delivery of those same ballots in urban areas are suspended, and they focus on rural areas where they know these are strongholds for the Republican Party and Trump. Con number three. Notice I'm calling them cons, because we have a con man at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue, the White House. Con number three. Those ballots that are delivered and can easily be dismissed by the Trump's minions and poll workers that say the signatures do not match, therefore they're invalid because they're fraudulent, and it doesn't match the signature on the. You're not a handwriting expert. So if the person makes the T a little different, if you filled out your voter registration card 20 years ago and you live in the same place that you did 20 years ago, I promise you, your handwriting has changed. So if you're not updated, if you have not updated your signature on your voter registration card, your ballot could be deemed fraudulent and discarded. This is why I don't like mail-in voting. They are willing to do whatever they can and have to do to give Trump a victory. Many of the swing states are run by election supervisors that are not only Republicans, but they are strong Trump supporters. They were put in these positions because of their allegiance. Many of them are willing, again, to do whatever they have to do. They don't fear prosecution because just like so many others, they were convicted and then they were given a presidential pardon. So what fear do they have? Absolutely none. And we know, I call the Dems deadbeat because everything they do is reactionary. The Republicans are opportunistic. Cool, we got this. Oh, we can use this. We can exploit this. Like, okay, so they're doing mail-in voting. Okay, 20% of them we can say are fraudulent. Another 20% we can say didn't arrive on time. They're opportunistic. They think about how to cheat before the test. The Dems, on the other hand, want to say, well, you know, we play by God's rule. And no, that's bullshit. When you're in a dog fight, you got to fight like a dog. And the paradox is this. They are rich enough where they actually profit from Mitch's and delusional Donnie's policies. So they say one thing, but they don't necessarily follow through. And that's why I call them that. Imagine if the Dems was your proverbial daddy and it's Easter and you get no Easter basket and it's Christmas and you get no Christmas clothes, you get no football, you get no football set, you get no Nintendo, you get no Doc McMuffins or McStuffins or whatever her name is. And these kids, we are the children of these knuckleheads because we depend on them. Yeah, we make our money and what have you, but our money is governed by the legislative policies that they develop. So ultimately, I shouldn't say this, but I'm going to say it. Short and simple, we that bitch. And they can do whatever they want with us. This is why we have to hold them accountable. But before we hold them accountable, we got to hold ourselves accountable. So I'm going to say this. If you go to the hairdresser, beauty parlor, salon, or whatever to get your hair done, if you go to the salon to get a mani and a pedi, if you go to the grocery store, if you're about to send your kid to school, you need to take your tired ass down to the poll and make sure that your vote and your voice is heard. I said it, I said it, I said it, I meant what I said, and yeah, I said it. This election is too important, people. We cannot take the chance on something going wrong. We cannot gamble on these people playing fairly. They've not done it in 4 years. It's simple as this. When somebody shows you who they are, when they tell you who they are, believe them. My company, I just got my company registered in the state of Florida. You see, I changed. A lot of you got an invite from ABA, IGES 2S. ABA stands for A Black Agenda. The name of my company is A Black Agenda and Policy Initiatives. And basically, my company is going to be partnering with some of these young folks. Because I remember when I was 16, when I was 21, when I was 25, I felt invincible. I had all of this energy, and I was like, yo, bump that. Power to the people, whatever it takes, by any means necessary. So they are reactionary. What they need is some elders like us to show them the way. So while they're doing this stuff on the front line, Not that I'm king or I'm Thurgood Marshall, but I know enough about the process. I've got a master's in public administration and public policy from Florida State. Go Noles. I know, some shameless plugs. But I've been in politics since I was 16. I never wanted to run for office. I always wanted to be the man behind the scenes, actually making things happen, implementing change. So that's what my company is going to be about. So to everybody that's tuned in tonight, to everybody that's been tuning in night after night, week after week, so forth and so on, I thank you again. I thank you for your love. I thank you for your support. I thank you for believing in me. I thank you most of all for allowing me to be who I am. And when I'm hollering and screaming at you, I'm glad that you don't take it personal. I hope it put enough heat under your seat so that you get out and do something. I'm going to close again with the same thing. We cannot take a chance on anything going wrong. We cannot gamble with 4 more years because this country cannot stand 4 more years of what's happened in the last 4 years. With that, I'm going to say, as I always say, go to my YouTube, check it out. If you came late, check out this podcast. It's okay when you look at it on Facebook, but I need your numbers on YouTube too. So go to YouTube, check out the podcast. I got at least 35 videos there. Check out some of those videos. Toggle through them. When you hear something you like, listen to them. Most of them are about 30, 40 minutes long. That's about it. You understand? Share it. If each one of us can reach one of us to teach one of us, then we can find some unity. With that, it's always important. Love, peace, hair grease. I'll see you next week. Same Baptiste time, same Baptiste place. Folks, you might love me, but I love you more. I'm out of here. Good night.